Disney movie for boys. It had action, it had sword fights, it had lava, it had flying around on magic carpets, it had monsters, it had comedy, it had a lot of adult jokes that I actually sort of understood. It had kick-ass songs, it was just awesome. But I will admit, as I get older, that novelty seems to wear off a bit. Unlike Beauty and the Beast that gets better and better as I get older, I do see more and more the flaws of Aladdin. Okay, well let's look at the story. Aladdin is a thief trying to get by in the streets. He comes across a princess named Jasmine who's trying to get away from the palace to make a life. He actually sorcerer named Jafar and gets manipulated into searching for a magic lamp. Here he comes across a flying carpet and, of course, the genie. Do I even need to say who voiced him?
Hello, Aladdin. Nice to have you on the show. Can we call you Al or maybe just Din? How about Aladdin? Sounds like here, boy. Come on, Aladdin.
So he goes back to town using one of his wishes to turn himself into a prince. This allows him the possibility to marry the princess, but Jafar won't let it happen. He tries to kill Aladdin and take the lamp away so he can use the genie for his own diabolical powers. You get your sword fight, giant monsters, action comedy, all that good stuff. So what is it about Aladdin that does or doesn't work? Well, a lot of the time, it's sort of the same thing. Aladdin is very modern. Even Agrabah looks much more like Vegas than it does an Arabian city. Of course, Robin Williams' jokes, while funny, all come from a way that current people talk and even movies that haven't been made by this time period. In fact, they didn't even know what movies were back then. So there's a lot of breaking the fourth wall jokes and, of course, a lot of modern-day talk.
I'm in the mood to help you, dude.
Well, most of it not. Aladdin and Jasmine, though they don't quote as many movie stars as Williams does, still seem out of their time period, too. They seem more like Gen Xers than they do the product of an Arabian village. Jafar is pretty cool, and so is enjoyably stupid. But most of it doesn't seem to take place once upon a time, but more around the time that maybe Shrek lived. In fact, yeah, Shrek probably stole a lot from this movie, didn't they? So does that make Aladdin bad? Not necessarily. If anything, it makes it unique. It's a very different take that Disney was trying to do, and apparently it really paid off. The jokes Robin Williams makes is funny, and despite the fact that it doesn't look like Arabia, it still looks great. The colors in this movie are just wonderful, as well as the lighting. On top of that, what I think is really important is that Aladdin and Jasmine do have chemistry. Yeah, I know it's another 3-day romance and then suddenly they get married, but you know what? You believe they're in love. They do have conversations, they do talk about their problems, and they do try to help each other out. It's not Beauty and the Beast, but it works okay. The songs are still awesome. It's still Alan Menken, and it's still those incredibly catchy beats. At times, some of the modern talking get a little annoying, like when Aladdin tries to act cool or Godfrey yells some more, but I think it still has the same Disney heart, and it is very entertaining. So while I don't like it as much as I did when I was a kid, I still do like it. There's still a lot of things to admire, a lot of things to laugh at, and a lot of things to like. As long as you know what you're getting yourself into, chances are you'll have a pretty good time. Well, every Disney December we try to look at the best that Disney has to offer. This year we're gonna go to the opposite route. If you're younger, you might have noticed all these sequels that seem to pop up to popular Disney films that don't really seem to be as good. This is because story films were starting to phase out and CG films were starting to phase in. Disney didn't always have a lot to do for their hand-drawn department. At least, nothing that made them a profit. However, that seemed to change, though not necessarily for the best, with the direct-to-DVD sequels. For whatever reason, kids just loved to see what was going to happen next in these movies that really didn't need any continuing stories. And they got a reputation pretty fast of being the worst. You name it, Lion King, Aladdin, Pocahontas, even The Hunchback of Notre Dame got a sequel. As they seemed to make more and more money, they pushed them out faster and faster, and well, they have a reputation for being some of Disney's worst material in recent years. For a long time, people have been asking me to look these over, and by God, I didn't want to. But you know what? I'm an optimist, and I'm gonna hold out hope that there's at least one, just one good sequel out there. Is it a fool's wish? Maybe. But I'm determined to get through all of them to see if they're as bad as everybody says they are. I get a feeling they're right, but I should judge for myself. Even though there's surprisingly enough films to almost fill the entire month, there's still one or two that I haven't been able to get. So I'll fill those in with not sequels, but still direct-to-DVD movies that they made. Is there somewhere a diamond in the rough to be found? Well, all through the month of December, I'm gonna find out. Because you demanded it, this is Disney December direct-to-DVD sequel. I hope you appreciate what I do for you. So let's go to where this all started. I remember I got the VHS of Fox and the Hound. As soon as you open it up, there was a little pamphlet that said one of the greatest villains was coming back. You open it up and you saw Disney's The Return of Jafar. Holy smokes, to a little kid, this was amazing. Aladdin was one of the biggest films that ever came out at that time, and Disney never really did any sequels apart from The Rescuers Down Under. So we were beyond excited to see another Aladdin movie on the big screen. As more time went by, though, we realized it wasn't going to be on the big screen, it was going to be direct to VHS. Well, okay, it was still an Aladdin sequel, and it was done by Disney. It still has to be pretty good, right? Well, then we saw the trailer for it, and man, there was a serious downgrade. It was pretty obvious from the first frame what this was. This was Disney trying to cash in on a popular movie, which they'd done before, but not usually with a sequel. And not usually with such a difference in animation. So, yeah, the hype died down pretty quickly, but we were still kind of interested in seeing it. After all, it was Aladdin, and we wanted to know what evil scheme Jafar had up his sleeve. The film centers around Aladdin getting used to his new palace life, and apparently still unable to put on a shirt, when Iago the parrot escapes from Jafar's lamp and tosses it away, trying to convince Aladdin and the gang that he's changed for good, even though he really just wants a position of power. On top of that, the genie returns too. Sort of. Robin Williams didn't come back to voice him this time, and it really shows. They got Dan Castellaneta, the voice of Homer Simpson, to do him instead, and to be fair, it's not a bad choice. He can do a pretty good impression. But so much of the genie was Robin Williams just doing his improv, and nobody's as good as him. So immediately it's a little distracting. But Jafar returns as well as a thief, played by Jason Alexander, accidentally releases him, and Jafar's the genie promises to grant him his wishes if he follows through with his revenge. So Jafar plans his evil scheme by framing Aladdin, making it look like he killed the Sultan, all while locking up everybody else away. The plot in general is not that bad, and to its credit, Jafar's revenge is actually a pretty good one. But nothing feels as fleshed out as the original. In fact, Aladdin doesn't even seem like the focus. It feels more like the focus is on Iago. He's the one that has the story arc. He's the one that's torn between two places. But in terms of what made the original Aladdin so enjoyable and continuing it here, a lot of it just doesn't transfer over. Whether they didn't have the time or the budget or whatever, it just feels really rushed. Aladdin and Jasmine don't have much chemistry, the genie's not really that funny. The animation, though I know they're trying, just can't compete with the incredible colors and movement that the first one had. Even the songs aren't as hummable. And yeah, way too many of them are given to Gilbert Gottfried. Because that's a voice I want to hear put to music. I remember when my brother and I first saw it, we were more making fun of it than actually getting sucked into the story. But again, being kids, we did put it on once or twice after. We kind of accepted what it was, just a cheap knockoff, rushed out really fast, and I guess as cheap knockoffs go, it's not the worst, it's just not very good. Its purpose is made totally complete by the ending, where it just seems to end really abruptly. They just say, hey, we want to go see the world, and it just kind of stops. I remember we were scratching our heads what that was about, and then a few days later, the Aladdin cartoon show came out. So, yeah, really all this was a pilot episode for the Aladdin cartoon. Honestly, I probably would have liked it more if it just came forward and said that's what this was. If they just announced there was an Aladdin show coming out, and this was going to be the first episode, or a couple of episodes tied together, like what they usually did with the Disney Afternoon. But no, they had to put it on VHS, slap Return of Jafar on it, and thus we now have to judge it as a Disney movie. Not a theatrical release, but still a sequel to a theatrical release. And in that case, it's pretty bad. What would have made a passable TV pilot is now the beginning of a long line of disappointing DVD sequels. The only part that kind of gets a chuckle every once in a while is Jason Alexander as the thief. But that's because it's Jason Alexander and anything he touches is hilarious. Well, almost. Disney did manage to crush him once. But even when he's saying unfunny lines, he can get a little bit of a laugh out of them. He's just that good. As for the rest, I think the word to describe it is probably awkward. It's not god-awful, it's not like there was no effort put into it, it's just Looking back years later, it's not that big a deal, especially when you know all the sequels are going to come out after. But for a bunch of kids that were excited to finally see a sequel to one of the biggest Disney films they've ever seen, it was pretty underwhelming. I know it has a soft spot for some, I was just never one to get into it. But this would only be the beginning of the Disney sequel suckfest, or we're on the way and there was so much more suffering to be had. Well, with the Return of Jafar doing so well in sales and the animated series being a pretty modest hit, it only made sense to wrap it all up with one more Aladdin movie, Aladdin and the King of Thieves. A much better sequel than the last one. Not only is it more cinematic in both the story and its visual style, but it actually puts the focus back on Aladdin and the troubles he's going through. Does that make it good? I don't know if I can go that far. There are still a lot of things that don't work about it. But I can at least say I was genuinely entertained and even kind of impressed. Aladdin and Jasmine are finally getting married. Yeah, I guess they pushed that whole 3 days thing off a bit. But like he said, he's the Sultan and can change the law, so why even have a law that she has to be married? Oh, who knows? Fairy tale. But Aladdin is feeling sad because he can't invite his father to the wedding because, well, he never knew his father. But that also he discovers his father is actually the king of the 40 thieves and tries to rob the wedding. He's trying to get the scepter that's in the palace that contains an oracle that can tell him where the greatest treasure of all is, the Hand of Midas. Aladdin and his father, played by John Rhys Davies, finally meet up and don't know what to really make of each other. The father is confused about how he made it to a place of royalty, and Aladdin is confused why his father is still a thief. Both want a relationship to bloom, but both have issues trusting the other, especially Aladdin trusting his father, and we find out, kind of rightfully so. The father still wants to find the Hand of Midas and will do anything to achieve it. So Aladdin puts off his wedding and goes back and forth trying to figure out whether or not he wants to help his father and get the treasure, or if he just wants his father back to be, well, his father. And yeah, this is kind of the main problem with the film. I give them credit for tackling the issue of fathers that aren't very good fathers, as it can be a very tough issue. Sometimes can turn over a new leaf, but other times are still caught in this selfish cycle. But here's the problem. Aladdin's father's cycle doesn't really make sense. He says that he left Aladdin because he couldn't provide for him and his wife. So he goes and joins the 40 Thieves to get his treasure so that, well, he can support them. They clearly find a lot of treasures, but he never comes back. Well, okay, maybe they are building him up as kind of a deadbeat dad. But no, they try to give him these sympathetic moments, which I'm usually for, except it doesn't match at all what he was talking about. Anyone that talks like how this father talks about his son wouldn't do the things that he does. He would be happy to go to the wedding. He wouldn't give a crap about the treasure. In fact, there's really no point to care about the treasure. He can just go and live in the palace. It's all just a pride thing. But then at the end, he throws away the treasure, even though he tried so hard to get it. But wait, Aladdin was helping him find the treasure too. Why does Aladdin suddenly care about this? It's so weird to see Aladdin just abandon his wedding and then be like, hey, let's go find this treasure that really I don't care about. But he does it really cheerfully, and the father is all okay with it, and it just doesn't add up. The motivations constantly go back and forth, but not in a way I feel was intentional. If you want to see this kind of story done so much better, watch Adventure Time and Finn's connection to his father. Or even, strangely enough, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and his connection with his real father. These shows get it, and they know how to explain it well. I don't think this one really does. It feels more like they want to do something with Aladdin connecting to his father, but they also want a treasure hunt. So they just kind of smash them together, and yeah, given the probable short amount of time that they had on this, I guess I can't be surprised what we got. But that still doesn't mean that the heart and focus works. And when the heart and focus doesn't work, the film really suffers, and it's hard to get behind it. But that's not the only problem. The first Aladdin was very good at balancing out the characters. Everybody felt like they got the appropriate amount of screen time. In this one, it's mostly on Aladdin, which is better than Return of Jafar, where it's mostly on Iago. But all Jasmine does is show some support and then mostly stays out of the picture, and all the genie does is want to plan a wedding. Speaking of which, let's talk about the genie. Because Robin Williams is back to voice him, and that's both kind of a pro and a con. It's a pro because it's Robin Williams, and his improvising is incredible. But it's a con because, unlike the first film, they don't always know when to cut him off. Granted, in the original, they do leave the camera on him too long sometimes, but they knew to keep the focus on Aladdin and the story and so forth. In this one, I actually kind of dreaded whenever the genie was going to come on screen. Even when he made me laugh, it just didn't connect to anything. It's like he comes in and just hijacks the movie when we could be spending more time trying to get the motivations of Aladdin and his father down. Or give Jasmine more time, or make the villain more interesting. Just every time he shows up, even when it's hilarious, it still feels out of place. At first I thought the songs were going to be really good. The first one really had me tapping my feet and kind of humming it afterwards. But then, outside of a duet from Aladdin and Jasmine, they all sound exactly like that. I swear it's like the exact same song and the exact same rhythm, just a few notes are missing or changed. There's very little variety, which is ironic because I know more than one songwriter worked on this. But, for all its problems, like I said, there are a lot of good things. Williams' jokes, though they do go on too long, are still mostly funny. They do at least try to tie in some of the characters at the end. Jasmine throws a punch and the genie gets a few action scenes. And like I said, you can tell they're trying to go that extra mile. Look at some of this animation. This is the same crew that brought the Aladdin TV show to life. TV shows back then didn't have a big animation budget, so for them to come together and pull off something that looks this good, it's really impressive. The angles, the movement, the lighting, the colors. You can tell they knew this was going to be the last thing Aladdin related, and they wanted to try their hardest to make it good. And give them credit for all the action and singing. There are a lot of times where people just sit down and talk, when it's actually needed and welcome. And those scenes don't feel forced, they flow very naturally. It's just, once again, the motivations. There's a difference between being intentionally complex and sloppily complex. I feel like this movie had a lot of really good scenes and ideas, but no concentrated narrative to have them connect or flow. So it's a tough call. I don't see it really working as a film, but I'm also kind of happy I saw it. It was visually interesting, it was creative, you could tell it was trying to have a real heart and soul. And I give it credit that it was trying to wrap up both the TV series and the movies. It even ends with the merchant singing the song at the end. Those are kind of nice bookends. I get a feeling if I was a little kid I'd be into it, and as an adult, there's some neat stuff. It's just that none of it ever really connected. But you gotta give props to the directors and animators who you know were on a tough deadline for this. For Disney sequels and shows they're almost never given enough time to be fleshed out, this was a valiant attempt to justly wrap up another Arabian Night. Disney, you okay? You okay there, Disney? You're not looking so good. You've been vomiting up some concerning stuff, the stuff that you had, in your body, and it's coming up not so good. With your Mary Poppins Returns, and your Captain Marvel, and your Aladdin. It's right on the high point of your Beauty and the Beast remake, and your Jungle Book remake, and your Sleeping Beauty remake, and Dumbo remake, and got Lion King coming up too, and I'm sure Jungle Book 2 and Maleficent too. It's but at least Pixar is doing a good job with your Toy Story 4. Doing okay, Disney? You doing alright? You have your end game. That's good. You doing okay, Disney? This was bad. This was really bad. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but if you thought the Beauty and the Beast remake was bad, this technically is worse. It didn't anger me as much because I love the original Beauty and the Beast. I really like Aladdin. When I was a kid, it was my favorite animated Disney movie. I absolutely loved it. And when I got older, I was like, oh, okay, I really like this. There's a lot to appreciate, a lot to enjoy. There's incredible energy, and it looks amazing. But it's a little more, the characters are kind of Gen X-ish, and some of the jokes are actually the jokes are pretty good. But it felt like it didn't quite have the substance of something like Fantasia or Beauty and the Beast or Dumbo or something like that. Like a lot of the stuff I look back, I'm like, okay, that had weight to it. These movies had weight. Or Aladdin is a ton of fun and really cool and super funny, but there's not much weight to it, which is fine. You need that. You need to mix it up. But I loved it back then, and I love now the spectacle of it. It seemed like from Little Mermaid on, it probably to Lion King, they kept upping the spectacle with their animated films. And Aladdin, I mean, that's the one before Lion King. I mean, before like the big spectacle opus. So Aladdin looks great, and it has this incredible momentum, and of course this wonderful humor, and the colors are just amazing. I mean, it's just one of those wow animated films. And this one is not. It just all right. So let me say the positives. I think there's two. The orchestration of the songs is actually, in my opinion, better. And that's saying something, because the orchestrations of the original Aladdin songs are really friggin' great. Maybe because I saw it on IMAX and 3D, and the sound is really great, but like these songs, like I mean the singing's kind of hit and miss. I mean it's not Beauty and the Beast remake band, don't worry, but you know they're kind of hit and miss. But the orchestration like just sounded great. So that's really saying something, because the first Aladdin had great orchestrations. God, it's gotta be something else. I think that's it. I can't think of anything else that's better than the animated one. Oh, you know what? The woman who played Jasmine, I thought she did a really good job. Like, to me, this is someone that's like, even though she's not written that well, big shock, nobody's written that well, but she had, like, I don't know, just this passion to her performance, and she had this charm, and she looked wonderful, and she had this good enough singing voice. You could tell they had to auto-tune it, but, like, again, everybody's auto-tuned. The dude that got to play Aladdin looks like almost exactly like him, and sounds almost exactly like him. Like, it's kind of eerie. Need a little bit more charm in there. Like, I don't know. There should have been a few more takes, like a take two or something. Like try it like this. Try it a little bit more jokey. Try it. Yeah, let's talk about the jokes. Oh my god. Oh, this movie's not funny. It's just not funny. And like the humor is just, I guess it's supposed to be like awkward humor. I guess. Like there's a running joke about jam. Like that's it. They're like, well, what'd you bring me, Prince Ali? I brought you jams. So many jams. And they just keep bringing it up. That he brought jams. Get it? I don't jams. Will Smith is just dying. He is just dying in this role. And again, okay, here's the thing. Will Smith is a charming dude. He's just this smooth, awesome guy. But he's smooth and awesome when he's with people. When he has to be on his own, and not just on his own, but he has to like be in this weird CG body that kind of moves like the Casper CGI ghost from the movie Casper. And like remember how they move where they're talking right here, and then suddenly right here, and they're back right here, and they're always moving a little wonky, and then just sudden close up for no reason. It's like all that, just throughout most of it, and yeah, like there's just a million scenes where he's just kind of saying stuff, and you're kind of like, is that a joke? Was that funny? Like there's so many scenes where I'm kind of saying that. The only, top of my head, the only joke I could think that legit worked was I think Jafar, also horribly cast. Actually, the casting in this isn't like awful. But Jafar is just pick a random guy from the street, and that's Jafar. Like, he has no presence whatsoever. But he did have this one line I like, is that he has like the only backstory to give him at all is that he used to be a thief too, which is kind of like, all right, that's kind of cool. And he tells Aladdin, he says, you know, you steal an apple, you're a thief. You steal a kingdom, you're a statesman. I'm like, I like that. That's a good line. I'm trying to think, like, just any other positives, man. I mean, it's like, I like that when he turns into a prince, they say, the genie powers include that nobody can recognize you. It's like, okay, that explains that, because that's something in the original made no sense. He has a hat. Who is he? It's like the Clark Kent glasses, suddenly he's somebody else. But yeah, a lot of it is just like the Beauty and the Beast remake, where they just move some things around for seemingly no reason. Now this happens at this scene, and now before you even know Jasmine is a princess, she's on the street, looking for food, and Aladdin comes and stops her hand from getting chopped off, whatever. It's like that. They just switch around, like that happens before you know she's the princess in the palace. And it's like, but so what? And, they add one or two little things, which is like, kind of seems pointless. And whenever they get to a line that's said from the movie, like, do you trust me, or something like that, like a lot of these famous lines, all you're thinking is, man, that had more of an impact when I saw it the first time, because there was just, you even feel like they're saying these lines and doing these things just because, well, it was in the first one. The climax. Remember the giant snake? Remember, like, he's got these knives playing on it, the giant hourglass, and the genie's kind of cheering him on, and then, like, he's got to jump out, and Abu is turned into this little toy. The genie turns Abu into a toy at one point, like he's the villain almost, in the middle of the song. And the carpet unravels, like it's all red, and it's dark and lightning, and it's crazy. This one has a big parrot. Spoiler. That's the climax. And you get, giant snake, giant parrot. Upgrade. What are you doing, Disney? What are you doing? Oh boy. Yeah, they try to add. They add an additional song. It's kind of forgettable. It's kind of like the girl power song, I guess. And it's you could cut it from the movie and not miss a thing. They tried to play up, they tried to give Jasmine, I guess, a little bit more of a character, which, I mean, like, I feel like the original was fine, but again, just change something, God, I'll take it. And they have this whole thing, I won't be silent, like that's kind of the song. And, and she sings, you have a hint of it earlier, and then she sings it big time, like, in, later in the film. And it's, all I could think of is that, following this scene, she uses diplomacy to kind of make a scene better. She doesn't really save the day or anything, but it's I won't be silent, and cool. She, there's actually a little talk about, like, politics, about how to rule, which I'm kind of okay with, because, like, you think, like, Princess Diaries, like, no, you have to know how to walk like a princess and hold a fan like a princess. Like, how about ruling a goddamn kingdom? Like, they do talk about that a little bit, and I'm kind of like, all right, cool, like, that's okay. And I feel like some of the talks, I'm like, why are we talking about this? Like, about invading other kingdoms and stuff. But, I mean, there is a part of me I'm just like, just because I never see that in, like, a Disney films, when it's a princess, here you wear pretty clothes, or you want more, I don't want to be told what to do. It's like, well, what do you want to do, It's like, I like that this one's actually like, no, you want power, you want to take control, take some responsibility in being a leader, but not like a leader of your friends, like a leader of a kingdom, like, and it isn't just like, just be nice to commoners, it's like there's, I kind of dig that a little bit, even though, like, they don't do a ton with it, but they tap on just enough where I'm kind of like, all right, but that's more just because I don't see it, like, in Disney films, like, it's not interesting. Like, they don't make it that much fun or cool or anything. Yeah. Anything else? Like, that's actually good. Oh, you know what? I'll give it some credit. The Friend Like Me song is actually okay. It's one of the few moments where there's some really cool visuals. They have some fun with the camera and the colors and stuff like that, to a point where when it was wrapping up, I actually kind of felt bad I was wrapping up. I was like, oh, I was actually kind of getting into this, you know. So, and again, the orchestrations were good. The only song that's just a complete bomb, like, wow, did that do nothing? It's like my favorite song in Aladdin is Prince Ali. And you've probably seen clips of it on YouTube. It's like one of the little previews they had. It does not get any better after that. And that's like the one scene where you can... okay, so in the credits, they have a little dance number of just everybody dancing. And it's really well put together. And I think it's done like in one shot and everything. And it's like... that was really cool, because that's all, like, I think they speed it up sometimes or something like that, but, like, it's still these people really there doing this dance number, and it looks like the guy who plays Aladdin is a good dancer. Actually, the one who played Jasmine, if I saw it right, I mean, it looks like a good dancer, unless they CG their head on there or something like that, which, if so, that's a good CG artist, but somebody's a good dancer. There's some good dancers in this, whoever they are, whether it's really the people or they're CG'd or whatever, but there are good dancers. And, like, the Prince Ali song is where, like, you can do that. You can just have fun with these people coming out. I mean, make it like Portobello Road from Bedknobs and Broomsticks, just like this unbelievable thing, but it's just Will Smith and the dude playing Aladdin just standing there going like that. You're like Will Smith's like this and Aladdin's like this, and it's like, that's it. And it's like, you could have done so much with that. What? You wait for the credits to pull out the big dance sequence? So, yeah, it's another one of those unfortunate situations where a lot of it is kept the same unless they switch it around. The stuff they add, like, I don't remember being awful or anything, like, but it's not much. I mean, they just do not add that much. And because it just feels so much like, well, we have to just hit these notes, it feels like there's no momentum to it. Like, scenes just kind of, they either drag on forever or they're way too quick, and you never feel like any of the emotion you're supposed to feel for these characters or any of the comedy. Like, it just so drags. It just feels like it goes on forever. And I mean, granted, I didn't see this with, I saw it pretty late at night. I mean, so the crowd was, you know, I mean, there's probably something like 20, 30 people in there or something like that, and some of them were kids, and it was just dead silent. I don't know how this is going to play for kids. I mean, it's still Will Smith, Blue, you know, and he's moving like the Casper characters like this sometimes, and that could get them going, so I don't know. I mean, my guess would be they would, kids really like Will Smith still, so I mean, like, it might play okay for kids. But yeah, my guess is just a lot of kids are going to be like, yeah, can we just put on the cartoon again? The cartoon had such life, such energy. I mean, it was another one of those movies where it just feels like it leaps off the screen. This one just feels like it's draining the life from you. I mean, it's just so odd in how, just how lifeless it feels. I mean, even though, like, you know, sometimes there's some nice visuals and some nice colors and stuff like that, but it just feels just so lifeless. Man, yeah. I'm sorry, like, I feel drained watching this movie. I just feel like I just watched, like, it's not a whole bunch of nothing and then, oh, I just looked at a blank screen, but it's like, it had just enough little splash of color, you know, occasionally like a nice sounding song, and then just a whole bunch of nothing. So it's like, what do you say about that? Well, here's some nothing, and occasional color, occasional song. Actually, I guess I just said it. I feel like this movie made me dumb. I'll say this as well. Where Beauty and the Beast legit made me, like, angry mad. Like, oh my god, this is just so infuriating. This is kinda so bad, it's funny. Some of the comedic routines are just so painful, and you can tell they're just trying to improvise a little bit, or maybe like we're trying to make what was written here funny, and it's just not working, and they're just so trying to make it work, and it's just not. You know, and I feel like a lot of that's gotta be. Maybe it's not the direction, although I mean, it was Guy Ritchie. He directed a good film and a half. That's about the extent I can give him. I liked Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and then Snatch was just another one of those without the charm, but I like Lock, Stock so much that it's like, well, Snatch, I give a little bit of a pass because I like the first one so much. I just like that style. And then, like, he's never done anything else good as far as I know. Unless I'm missing something. But every other movie that's, like, come out afterwards, I mean, everyone's just been, oh, yeah, that sucked. Oh, that was terrible. Oh, no, Sherlock Holmes, that was good. I forgot about that. He did a good Sherlock Holmes. Okay, that's 2.5. Yeah, give him credit for that. Maybe I'm missing another one too, but he's not someone that's like on my radar of like, ooh, a Guy Ritchie film, you know, kind of thing. But yeah, I just feel like if they could have, like, you never know what the schedule's on these movies. I mean, if they just had more time to create more charisma with the people and the characters, but they're not given much to work with either. I mean, these are just very obvious, bland lines when they're not just taking it from the first film, and the stuff that's added is very generic stuff that's added. I mean, like, you know, okay, well, Jasmine's gonna stand up for herself. We haven't seen that. That's her character, you know. But again, like, I felt like that actress kind of brought a little something to it. Like, she made it almost charming, like almost work. Where I'm like, okay, I want to see her in something else. You know, even the guy who played Aladdin, like he had a good look and he had like a good voice. He could, if that's really him dancing and everything, like he can move. I mean, like you can see a career for this dude, but yeah, it's like you need someone to steer you in a better direction. You need to, or a better writer, or just something. You need love. All you need is love. This just feels like a paycheck. This just feels like, oh well, these worked. Beauty and the Beast was a hit. You know, Mary Poppins Returns did good. And I mean, we didn't have to put much new into that. Just do it again. Paycheck. You know, but where these kind of movies, I can understand one or two of these. Just like, okay, get that out so we can fund these, you know, like these cool things that Disney used to make. Like, I just feel like they're not making those anymore. Like, I mean, I guess they still have Marvel. I mean, that, like, an Endgame was good, but like I said, even, you know, Captain Marvel sure wasn't that great. And now they have Fox. I mean, maybe they can do something with that. But yeah, Star Wars now I'm just getting tired of too. I mean, so I don't know. They better whip something out that's pretty cool, because I feel like I'm like Disney always. I feel like they hit that slump for a while, and like they always have, even in the 60s and 50s, like, you know, like there's always kind of that slump they start to hit where they'll recycle a lot of stuff, or they'll just kind of, you know, exploit what's popular at the time, you know, like if you look at some of their teen films from like the 50s and 60s, like there's some good ones, don't get me wrong, but there's some crap too, and I just feel like, man, we're coming up on that slump again. I just hope they can get some just good imaginative stuff again, like fresh stuff. Yeah, I mean, the freshest thing they got coming out is Frozen 2, and that's still a sequel. You know, I mean, I don't know. And I know technically everything's always based on like a fairy tale and stuff like that, or famous books and such, but I don't know. They gave it a new spin. You know, like Snow White. I mean, like, everyone knew the story of Snow White, but when you talk about the Disney Snow White, you know what they're talking about. You know the look of it. You know the characters. You know the names. You know the style. You know the environment. Where, I mean, if you were to say Aladdin, well, yeah, the animated one. No, the remake. Will Smith, right? Like, that's probably all people are going to say about it. Just Will Smith was in it. I know that. So... yeah, I don't know. I'm missing that Disney that can stand out. You know, it's all blurring together now. Star Wars is blurring together. You know, Marvel had Endgame, so it's like, that's cool. Like that was that was kind of like a big step. Even though I didn't love all of it or anything, I'm still like that. But that's a step. That's kind of a riff. They did some interesting creative things with that. Where this just feels like, I don't know. I hope that I can get things like just the creative juices going again, because, man, if there's just more of these, like, I just want that uniqueness back. I want that freshness back, and I just feel like I'm not getting that right now, at least not from their movies. Maybe from their theme parks are still doing good, maybe from their TV shows. Here's Star versus the Forces of Evil is very good, you know, so, like, maybe I gotta go there. But, yeah, the movies recently, man, it have not been hitting out of the park for me, so... hopefully more stuff will be coming. I'm sorry, it's turned more into like a Disney rant than Aladdin rant, but that's what this movie does! Just, we're done! I'm mad as hell! I'm not gonna take it anymore with these Disney reboots! So, yeah, that's, if you have little kids, and they want to see, if they see the trailer and they want to see it, it's fine. I mean, I guess, like, they can watch it and just be like, well, okay, my assumption is they're gonna have kind of a blank face throughout most of it, but, like, they will be quiet. If that makes sense. It's a totally decent shut-up movie. Just to place your kids in front of it. It's like, okay, I need a break. Kids watch this, you know. But if you're looking for something to, like, to really, like, enchant and delight and awaken the imagination, and man, I did not see that here. And maybe some other people will, some other kids, but I missed all of that. So, yeah, like I said, I hate Beauty and the Beast, the reboot, more, because I really love that movie, but because also going in, I think everybody knows this is just kind of gonna suck. Like, only the people that saw the trailers, they went, ooh, it's like, it's more of that, but like most of the people I've seen are just like, man, that looks stupid. This feels like the year of movies that don't feel real. You got Aladdin, you got Dora the Explorer, you got Sonic the Hedgehog, Toy Story 4. we gotta make Sparky realize he's a toy. Like, does it just feel like that? Like, it just feels like these aren't real movies that we're getting. The Emperor's back in Star Wars. So, I don't know. It didn't win me over. I didn't see anything new to it that was exciting. It just seemed like rehash, a very boring rehash. So, that's my take. Again, if you saw the trailer, you're like, that might, like, this looks cute, this looks fun. You'll probably get that. You'll get the trailer. It really is like everyone that said, oh, that trailer looks so stupid and nothing Will Smith looks, you know, ugly and weird and stuff like that. I mean, that's what you're going to think of the movie. If you look at it, you're like, oh, let's turn my brain off, just go have fun. Whee, I know that song. Fair enough. Like, there's crap I see where I'm just like, I kind of want to do that too. But, yeah, this wasn't the one for me. So, that's about it. I'll see you at the next awful Disney reboot. Or maybe it'll be good. It'll be awful. Bye. What the hell were we smoking when we made this?
Amy.
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic Guy. Remember, so you don't have to. There's a very old saying, if it's not broke, Disney's remake of Aladdin sucks. In the ongoing need to suck nostalgia's withering teat, Disney offers us its latest multi-million-dollar budget table scraps. The funny thing about this one was people were kind of onto it at first, especially with the portrayal of the genie. At first, audiences were angry he appeared not to be blue. Clearly the biggest problem this movie could face. Then when they saw he was blue but awkwardly computer generated, people freaked again, with Disney reassuring folks that he will look less awkward in the final film. And that, oh God.
I think you...
Christ, he's making a Shark Tale animation look like Paddington! This is the less awkward genie? Well, let me tell you, as a crowd that's been duped a million times in the past, we're totally gonna be duped again! Yep, despite mixed critical reviews, crowds once again seem to love Disney shit being shoveled right back into their mouths. But to the film's credit, there is a lot more to it than just an awkwardly animated Fresh Prince of Blueberry. You're forgetting the flat lead, lame villain, boring comedy, and complete lack of anything fresh or memorable that made the original a household classic. But it looks like thing I associate with good, so must have substance. It's the Instagram of movies. Okay, I'm gonna try and figure out why this film is beloved by so many, while giving the point of view of a douchebag who likes it when Disney, Disney's and not Disney's. Let's take a look at the crowd-pleasing box office remake. Where were you guys? We were doing so good! Aladdin. So we start off this Arabian Night with a pirate ship. You know what is different? In a Disney remake, that's like seeing a leprechaun feed a unicorn fresh Easter bunny. You just don't see it! Two kids on the smaller ship admire the Black Pearl as their father, played by Will Smith, says it's not worth the staring.
I'd be so happy if ours was that fancy.
Because it looks better?
Look, just because something is clearly animated doesn't make it better. I mean, okay, in this case it does, but I got paid a lot of money for this!
I think it's time that I told you the story.
Maybe if you sing. It's better when you sing.
A lot of people disagree with that. Oh, we don't now! Can you give me the memo of Smith things we like and Smith things we don't like?
With the caravan camels road, where you wander among every culture and tongue.
Really? I hear they cut off your ear if they don't like your face. Listening to that shit again, huh? Whoopsie.
To another Arabian night.
Yeah, Will Smith singing isn't that great, but I will give credit. This version of Arabian Nights is actually pretty solid. As the credits roll, it expands on the song, adding different melodies and mixing up the orchestration, while also showing us Agrabah and introducing us to our main characters.
There's a road that may lead you to good or to great through the power your wish should command.
At first I thought, this was actually gonna do things right. Add and improve as opposed to take away and repeat. But then we get this in the same sequence. Yeah, that's our intro to the Cave of Wonders and the villain. Two big parts of the story. In the original, they build up the villain. They build up the cave. Where'd that gold bug come from? Shit, look at that entrance! Only one may enter here. Suddenly there's a mystery. The story is immediately in motion. So much character and information is cleverly introduced to you in a way you would never forget.
Who disturbs my slumber? And never mind, we don't have time.
How is this movie longer? Move over, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Most epic movie intro ever unlocked. We're introduced to the street rat Aladdin, played by Mina Massoud, who comes across Princess Jasmine disguised as a peasant, played by Naomi Scott. Both look and sound exactly like their animated counterparts, but where things get awkward is their chemistry. One of these performers is acting their freaking heart out every moment on screen, while the other clearly thinks these are the rehearsal takes. Can you tell which one is which?
Aladdin, isn't it?
You're welcome.
Queen was killed. The Sultan's been afraid.
Seems everyone's been afraid since then.
Can't escape what you were born into.
You should tell the princess to get out more.
Oh, do you have my bracelet?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Am I still on camera? Oh, I guess so.
You'll be fine.
I feel bad picking on this guy, because he clearly can move and dance, he looks good and sounds good, he's multi-talented. But for whatever reason, take two was an outlawed phrase when he was on set.
While the princess is out, would you like to go for a stroll?
Don't raise your voice at me!
Gotta keep one jump ahead of the red line.
Watching the One Jump Ahead song now, including Jasmine this time, there's two major problems I can't help but compare to the original. One is, it's not funny. So much slapstick and clever wordplay was utilized in the original, but here, there's not that many laughs. And that might be because of number two, the film has the disadvantage of not being animated. Yes, I said disadvantage. Both live action and animation have their pros and cons, and you can definitely see the pros of animation and the cons of live action here. In the original, there's constant movement, constant momentum, and even constant character. Not only can you fit in a lot more funny moments because you have more control, but you get across Aladdin's persona much more because he can have the perfect expression for literally every frame. Look at him. He's bursting with personality and energy in every moment. And on top of that, it's timed perfectly to the music. So much likability is gotten across here that we're taking for granted. Now look here, sometimes there's a cool stunt, but the rest of the time it's just kind of meandering. They'll awkwardly move with slowed down and sped up footage, I guess to simulate energy. Similar to a Bollywood movie, but we'll get to that in a bit. Regardless, it always feels unnatural and off. It doesn't even focus on the right things. Remember this crazy lady? Of course you do, she's terrifying, you can't forget her. In this one, she's not even in half the frame. Imagine if the other one just trailed off during her line. It wouldn't make any sense. But that's the thing. The film assumes you've seen the original, so it doesn't have to try as hard to make an impact. The first one didn't have that luxury. Tell me what you remember more. These random kids he tosses dates to like it's barely even a moment? Or these big-eyed starving puppy dogs that just guaranteed you're going to give to 5 charities this week? Everything is magnified in animation, which means focusing on the right thing will make it all the more memorable. The remake is taking advantage of the original's focus so they don't have to try as hard. Look how much these words really impact Aladdin's core.
You were born a street rat. You'll die a street rat. And only your fleas will mourn you.
You see it all over his face. The emotion is just oozing out of him. Now watch it here.
You will die worthless. And only your fleas will mourn you.
Oh, that sucks. But good to know my fleas care about me.
The one thing more explored and arguably improved on is Jasmine's character. It was already fine in the original, but it's nice to see some add-ons. She's given more responsibility outside of just saying she hates being royalty. Her father is more competent and interesting, and they even do actual ruling stuff like talking about foreign policy. Kind of to a fault. Yet weirdly the concern of the original was the main characters and where they lived. Odd, right? In this one, there's a lot of focus on a place called Shirabad, where Jasmine's mother was from. It's a land we've never seen, know nothing about, yet for some reason it's the most important thing in this movie.
Shirabad continues to amass.
Shirabad is our ally.
Marshal an army to invade Shirabad.
Invade Shirabad?
Invade Shirabad.
I haven't been this invested since talks of taxation in The Phantom Menace. What are we doing? And then there's Jafar. The aging, sinister, booming voice.
He's been pretending the entire time. An imposter. Ensure your agonizing death.
Daily Show correspondent in a Halloween costume. Okay, this actor's gotten a lot of flack for how miscast he was. Even people that like the movie usually don't like him. So let's just say, does he look like him? Sound like him? Have any qualities better than him? It is a nice feather, I'll give you that. I'll also give the movie credit that they do try to give more time to Aladdin and Jasmine's romance, with him sneaking into the palace trying to talk to her more. But don't worry, someone funny will fix that up. Jasmine's servant Dahlia, played by Nasim Pedrad, pretends to be the princess while Jasmine pretends to be her handmaiden.
It is good to be near with all my palaces and wagons, clothing.
Well, it's not too broke, girls, but few things are. Jafar sees Aladdin up to his street rat tricks of stealing effects from bad Prince of Persia games, and he captures him. He takes him to the Cave of Wonders, assuming he's the diamond in the rough. Yeah, the whole magic ring telling him stuff is cut out, so just made a lucky guess. As we're given his one good line in the entire movie.
Steal an apple and you're a thief. Steal a kingdom and you're a statesman.
That's literally the only question you have to answer in order to be a politician. Jafar says if he can get him the lamp, he can reunite him with Jasmine. So he takes him to the cave where he's told not to touch anything but the lamp. Here's a count of all the things they touch. Guess the Cave of Wonders was drunk when it was on gold security.
Oh, my head. Hey, you ain't touching anything, right? Who cares? I'm gonna lose it all in the divorce.
Like in the original, he comes across the magic carpet.
I
action brings
I just love Frank Walker in this movie. Well, the original.
you with. You may turn in a better performance than me. Actually, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but even the Rug isn't as good an actor. Look how much emotion this thing has in the original. Somehow you know what it's feeling and what its personality is like. He's happy, but he's sensitive. He can get hurt, but he wants to help out. This one's happy when he's free from a rock, but aside from that, he just vanishes until the plot says, "Need you for a sec." Okay, fuck off. You couldn't even get a rug right. What are you doing to my rug?
They peed on your fucking rug.
As you'd expect, Aladdin finds the lamp, but Abu touches the 90th thing in the cave, which was just one too many.
Did you give me a hand? First the lamp.
He gets to Jafar, who says he'll give him a hand if he gives the lamp.
Now your hand.
How about my foot?
If only that creepy reed was in the original.
What are you doing? How about my foot?
Okay, that was more of an awkward creep. Awkward creep. Like before, Abu steals the lamp before getting trapped in the cave, leading to...
Excuse me, boy, where's your boss?
me getting booze. I'm sorry, I'm way too sober for this. Save me, Jen! Hey everybody, we're officially on Twitch. Monday through Thursday, we'll be doing all sorts of gaming, and if it goes well, we might try some other different types of streaming. Come on by and say hi in the chat. Hopefully we'll see you there. You're the blue wish granter. That actually makes me feel good. I believe you're actually there. So, okay, let's talk about Will Smith as the genie. First of all, I get it. We're never gonna top Robin Williams or the brilliant team of animators that brought him to life. It's entirely pointless to try, so let's try!
Bring anybody back from the dead. Two, say what you want.
Downward dog. Please don't forget to keep your genie on the way out.
Again, this is a big disadvantage with live action. In animation, it's all the same realm. They're all drawn lines against painted backgrounds, so it all blends together. This looks like Casper's uncle got plastered and is trying to embarrass him in front of his girlfriend. I never once believed they were actually looking at each other.
Well, Alibaba, he had them 40 thieves. He had thousands here.
It's awkward enough they're trying to do the same high-energy visuals that just don't transfer in the slower world.
That's your personal business, but we're gonna need to talk about that monkey later.
God, it feels like he's bombing at an SNL audition.
Woo! I'm the best.
But Smith's head always looks like it's about to fall off his body. It's like someone made a bobblehead doll where the size of the body matches the head, yet the head still wiggles for some reason.
I don't know. Who cares?
Now, surprisingly, it's followed up by a really good rendition of Friend Like Me. Like Arabian Night, it mixes up the song a bit, but also has visuals that support it in a pretty grand way. It's like, damn, we're actually in a good Aladdin remake for a minute here. I'll also give credit that Smith actually isn't that bad when he's not covered in Navi splooge. When he's allowed to chill and turn on his laid-back charm, he's actually alright.
Who's the girl?
She's a princess.
Aren't they all? Treat your woman like a queen.
I always say.
We do get that half the time, but the other half? The other half... I just want to make sure, this isn't funny, right? I mean, people have science to prove that this isn't funny, correct? It's just awkward, weird, and doesn't match Will Smith's style. The irony of both versions is that they emphasize to be yourself, which is a lesson this performance really could have learned from. Put simply, he's a much better Will Smith than he is a Robin Williams. And that would be fine if the movie reinforced that. Take the Prince Ali song. The original focused on Williams' veiny voices that translated beautifully into animation, turning it into an explosive number. Since this isn't Williams or animation, though, it would make sense if they did something like the old Disney musicals. Make the focus be the amazing stunts, dances, and variety of movement. Well, they get that all set up, and... let's just focus on two guys standing around while they can't sing.
Show some respect. Boy, can you flex down on one knee?
What is wrong with you? This is like a spectacle waiting to happen, a giant Bollywood musical at your feet, and you're treating it like a Disney Boyd pulled it off better. I think most people have pointed out a good chunk of the film becomes hinged with Smith trying to give Aladdin dating advice. What they fail to bring up is the epic jam dialogue.
We have jams.
Jam?
Yes, jams. Yam jams, stick jams.
Jam.
And steak jams. I really hope you like humor about jams. Next to Shirabot's the most mentioned word in the entire movie. Exotic jams.
For the jam.
The jams.
Jams. Move away from the jams.
Interesting experiment. If you play this movie along with Ponyo, all you'll hear is
Jams. Jams. Jams.
then they're invited to a get-together where Aladdin tries again to win her over.
I made you look like a prince on the outside. I didn't change anything on the inside.
You're still the same boring, dull clod you always were. Jasmine invites him to dance, but it appears he doesn't know how. Because a thief who can climb walls and jump buildings clearly has no footwork. He's dancing right here! Isn't this the same day? Genie controls his movements, though, in a scene that, hey, actually focuses on the dancing. Aw, can't we focus on Genie's hat some more? That's where the real wow is. You know, I did have a few jokes about this scene, but his dancing is just so damn awesome, I'll give him a break. Later, we see Genie hitting on the handmaiden, and he's apparently awkward too. Oh, it's funny because it doesn't make sense to his personality at all.
How did you get past the guards?
I snuck past.
All 48 of them? Even the ones that ate fire?
Your guards are weird.
Would you like to take an evening stroll?
I've never done this before. How does it work? Do you like sheep cheese?
Well, it's no jam line, but he takes her on a date as Aladdin sneaks in to talk to Jasmine.
Sometimes take a risk.
Try this at home, kids.
Is this?
A magic carpet?
Facing a whole new world with absolutely nothing new except an angry phone call to a voice coach.
Now when did you last let your heart decide?
Oh, Russell Crowe and Emma Watson are high-fiving each other right now as they're no longer the big musical punchlines.
A whole new world.
Oh, thank God for orchestras. My notes are as flat as the carpet I'm writing.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
The scene is so empty, it feels like the music video for the original Aladdin. Like, isn't that cute? We kind of look like the real couple that had real chemistry from the real movie. iTunes link down below. Like in the last one, she discovers who he is, but makes up even more lies.
He told me he was only pretending to be a thief to see the city, but he's actually a prince.
I really was a prince.
And you believed him?
Tell me more, did she make your heart swoon?
Tell me more, was his voice auto-tuned?
Once again, the guards capture Aladdin as Jafar figures out who he is as well.
Goodbye, Aladdin.
Hey, at this point, it'd be the same runtime as the original. But Carpet and Abu rush to his aid and save him from drowning, or they toss him the lamp. Carpet's obviously melting water. You know the drill. The genie comes out, uses a wish to save him, and Jafar tries to say he left.
You heard him say this, Jafar, and you saw him leave?
Yes.
Just ask him yourself. Ah!
Your Majesty.
Jafar is arrested, but Iago breaks him out as Aladdin realizes he can't use his last wish to set Genie free.
People see what they want to see. Aladdin is gone.
No arguments here. It's weird because Aladdin actually seems a lot douchier in this version, making us like him even less. In the first one, he's legit broken up about it. He can set his friend free. In this one, though, it's almost like he's boasting about it.
It's not a lie. People can change.
That's a bad thing? Thought you'd be happy for me.
I know you'll be a slave the rest of your life, but look at the bright side. I won't.
For what? You are breaking my heart here, kid.
Man, that's some die-hard anime heartbreaking acting right there. No Disney movie should have this many callbacks to the prequel. Take note!
Genie, no, hey, come on.
You don't want me, man.
Jafar steals the lamp, though, and uses his first wish to become Sultan.
You obey the Sultan. Hakim, marshal an army to invade Shirabot.
Shirabot.
Nobody cares about Shirabot! Invade Florida! It has all our grandparents! We'll care a little!
Remove her.
Jasmine is arrested as she sings a brand new song about not being speechless.
I cannot stop to
decent song, despite it not matching the feel of the others at all. But it does go a little weird. Oh my gosh, she was the genie all along. Now that's a twist this movie needs! No, this is actually a symbolic fight she's having right now. Ooh.
Face the wrath of my furious anger as I wish you away in my head.
Okay, I get the idea. She uses diplomacy and not force to convince the guards to do the right thing. Technically making this a completely wasted wish. What, does becoming Sultan just get you a new hat? But man, how cool would it be if she was grabbing a sword and fighting in slow motion while singing Let It Go 2.0, and then she does the diplomatic scene. She could be telling her friend, the head of the guards, thank you for teaching me sword fighting since I was a kid, so it explains how she can do all that cool stuff. And that would tug at his heartstrings even more. It would make so much sense. But nope, it's the literal thought that counts, as she sings about how she refuses to be silent. Moments before she's completely silenced. I will do as you wish. So yeah, this scene could have been completely cut and we wouldn't miss a thing, but, you know, henchwomen. So, okay, Aladdin comes in and is revealed as a street rat just before saving the day. What? Wait, what? We're doing the ice thing again? Why? He's right there! In the original, everything goes to shit at once, and he discovers the errors of his ways at this point. Here, he learned it when he saw Jafar with the lamp, and we had Jasmine learning her lesson because she was the main character for a minute. So this just drags things out. What does it do? Allow Jafar to show off more of his you just basic acting?
You're insignificant. An irritation I no longer need to tolerate once I banish you to the ends of the earth.
You're not even worth any effort for my performance. Sorry that was so loud.
No, the most suitable punishment would be to make you watch while I take what you love most.
While I make kissy faces at you the whole time. Do you like that? Blah, 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 blah.
Like in the original, Aladdin uses the carpet to fly back to Agrabah and save everybody. And like before, he has to confront a giant, terrible hell beast. A parrot. Yep, they replaced the giant snake with a giant parrot. My God, are you trying to piss us off? If you saw these two movies on at the same time, why the hell would you pick this pathetic idiot sauce when you can watch something kick-ass like this? Seriously, who in the Christ requested that? You know what would be cooler than a giant snake? A giant parrot! So after the epic giant parrot chase, literally every episode of the cartoon had a better climax than that. They work their way back where Jafar captures them again. This movie really is good at going absolutely nowhere, isn't it?
You can't find what you're looking for in that lamp, Jafar. I am the greatest sorcerer the world has ever seen.
I turned a small parrot into a big parrot. Crazy!
But you'll never have more power than the genie.
I will not be silent. Whatever. Girl power or some shit. As before, Aladdin tricks Jafar into wishing himself into a genie for even more power, and he gets trapped in his own lamp. Aladdin then uses his last wish to set Genie free so he can go after some Handmaid's Tale.
I want children.
Yes, two of them.
Liam and Omar, 3 years apart. You will entertain them with stories and songs.
This is really specific. All involved should be afraid. The Sultan then hands over his crown to Jasmine. Which is weird. Will Smith is still telling the story even after he revealed he was the story. Kind of feel like it should end there. She of course chooses to marry Aladdin, and we get, in my opinion, one of the biggest insults of the movie, the credits. Oh, don't get me wrong, I'm usually happy as hell when they arrive in a movie like this, but look at how they do it. Yeah, that's spectacular. It's like a full-on Bollywood musical with no CG genies, no awkward editing, just really good dancing and people actually looking like they're having a good time, mixing both Hollywood and Bollywood style techniques. Why wasn't this the entire movie? How freaking amazing would this film have been if it actually told Aladdin like a crazy Bollywood musical? It would have been something new while still keeping true to the story of Aladdin. The possibilities are endless. But instead, it's the end credits. Like they're teasing us, like we know we could have done this, but we're just gonna put it at the end, at the part where people usually walk out. So I guess I was wrong in that regard. This movie made me realize it wasn't dead on arrival. It was a freaking missed opportunity! Trust me, for me, that's a big thing to say with a Disney remake. say this, upon watching it again, I did see a few things that I did find impressive. Jasmine and her father had more depth, the songs were orchestrated nice, and once in a while there was an impressive visual when you were allowed to enjoy it. But seriously, half of it relies on you seeing the original in order to even follow it. It's got way too many dead silent moments, awkward acting, and lack of focus on what their priorities should be. I guess compared to some of the other remakes, it had a few things that stood out, which is more than I can say for many of the others. But I can't just give a positive shrug because it's less bad than the others. There's an incredibly unique and imaginative classic that fixes the majority of this film's problems before they even existed. And it did so by being new and innovative, as opposed to copying what's new and innovative. And even then, only doing so because it was proven to have worked in the past. If you enjoy it, cool, you're entitled to your opinion. But for me, this is an Arabian Night I'm not going to be checking out anytime again soon. I'm a nostalgia critic, I remember, so you don't have to. We have jams. Hey, Doug Walker here, the Children's Assessments. This is my second, his first, of the live-action Aladdin. Apparently some people like this one. I didn't. Maybe you'll like it, who knows?
I'm not gonna judge.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I
we'll
will
after I see it,
but I know I had no desire to see it.
Yeah, I didn't either, I just saw it.
Aladdin is much like Beauty and the Beast, where I'm like, it's
fine.
yeah.
Perfectly fine.
It's not my
Why would
favorite
we do
of
this?
that era, but I'm like, it's very funny. It's very well put together.
Very
Robin
colorful,
Williams is amazing.
yeah.
It's very colorful. And much like Lion King, I'm like, this is utterly pointless in my head to remake, but who knows? Maybe there's something new that they'll offer.
Yes, maybe it'll be amazing. It won't because I've already seen it, but maybe you'll find it.
But I wasn't on the automatic hate train just because I didn't see it. So it was like either loves it or hates it.
I mean, a lot of people saw it, liked it. I mean, dude, great. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. I'll say this: they got me to at least admit Beauty and the Beast was worse. Original when I saw it, I'm like, oh no, it's worse than Beauty and the Beast because it's not funny, and so it's an even bigger betrayal. And then thinking back, I'm like,
I will say this:
it's a little bit.
it can't be worse than Lion King.
No, it's not.
Because
It's
that's
the bottom of the barrel.
I have yet to see Dumbo. That's going to be the one left that I haven't seen. But outside of Dumbo, I've seen them all, and I swear Lion King so far outside of Dumbo is literally the bottom of the barrel.
No, you know what it is? I can think of maybe like 2 or 3 things in here. I'm like, well, that was decent. Which is more than I can say for some of these films. So maybe you'll think the same thing. All right, let's do it. This is remake of Aladdin.
Is this Peter Pan?
I'll say this. At first, I was like, okay, something different at least.
Yeah.
Never bad.
I'd be so happy if I was that fancy.
This boat has seen us through many a storm.
Doesn't this feel like one of those fake movies?
No, I'll tell you what this feels like. It feels like Once Upon a Time. Have you ever seen that show? This is the exact look where it's like, hi, obvious American actors. We're Middle Eastern, sure.
To another Arabian night.
Whoa. Hi, Auto-Tune. What?
What's your monkey's name?
Taboo. Yes, I named it. Oh, this one.
Please put it away.
Well, good luck, kids.
This diamond in the rough does not exist. Might as well.
Wait, who's Jafar?
Isn't that just like the King of the Fire Nation from Last Airbender? That's just a guy.
Are you shitting me? No fucking way.
No, Rob, listen to his amazing performance.
People need to understand that they were paid for underestimating me. That's why I need class and why I no longer need you.
Yes. Underacting.
Did he just kill a guy?
Yeah.
I'm still not intimidated. That was one of the few things I was just like, well, I mean, Jafar is a cool villain. Like, they got to be able to do something.
Yeah, you have to be able to make him cool. Like, you have to try to find someone that underwhelming.
Simple as that. Having a monkey is the only parental authority in your life.
I don't know. Works for Trump's kids.
It's just another prince coming to court the princess.
He's just the right amount of off.
No, he's bad. She's pretty decent.
Street rats. I don't buy that.
So bad.
They find out.
I cannot sing on key.
Why did no one tell me
No one mentioned yours either.
There you go.
Would you at least pretend you want to go to second base with this one? Oh, that tiger is fucking amazing. It really fucking looks like that thing is right there.
Sink into ruin for mere sentiment.
Jafar! God, that sounds wrong. Jafar! Like, no, it's not. I'm more intimidated by the Sultan than I am Jafar. That guy commands authority in this one. Oh, you're doing that thing again. I know, you're trying to hypnotize me. It doesn't ever work. Try all the time. You wait for the red lights. Then why do you do as I tell you? Because sometimes you're right. What the fuck? Wouldn't it make more sense if she escaped the palace and met Aladdin after this scene? Yeah, like another movie did. She and the Sultan so far are the only ones clearly acting. Yeah. So that helps.
Can I help you?
God! This is so fun. Tea?
If you don't have anything, you have So, what do you say?
Do you for 1 minute feel like, yeah, he's saying that, like, top of his head, like he's really speaking that? It's like he's clearly reading a line.
But don't cats clean themselves?
I think that's a legit good line. Wow, that look of shock on his face. Scrooge McDuck comes up with Glum Gold. They're both fighting for it. Scar, help me!
How about my foot?
Man, like the original Jafar, that was so much like creepier. He's like, yes, I'll give you your reward. Your eternal reward. How about my foot? Like, come
Even the
on.
knife was scary. It was like the Kirby knife.
Local folktale. She's the spirit of the woods.
Mister, what's your name? Whatever.
I like that change.
No, I don't like that. This is acting. I mean, this is used in the visuals.
No, the movie came alive suddenly for a minute here.
Yeah.
Never had a friend like me.
What the fuck just happened? That was good.
Yeah, we're actually in a good Aladdin remake for a minute.
He's getting better. About the first minute of his performance, I was just like,
It goes in and out. When he's just talking, he's okay. When he has to move around and do, ooh, look at that, he's not.
yeah.
See, this sucks.
Yeah.
But when they do that, it sucks.
Because they're trying to do the Robin Williams shit,
Yeah.
and it's not him.
I'm feeling a periwinkle.
God, that head does not belong in that body. The more I look at it, the weirder it looks. See, this isn't funny, right?
No.
Right? I'm not insane.
When Will Smith is allowed to do
When he's
Will
laid
Smith,
back,
he's
talking,
fine.
he's cool.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I literally am just like, okay, I can watch it. I even see this again. When they do that shit, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I can't even blame him for the rest because it's
No, yeah, we're gonna make you look amazing. It's gonna be really cool. Well, yeah, we're doing special things all the time. Yeah, sure.
His normal Will Smith shtick is great. It's trying to be a Bollywood musical, and I would rather just watch a Bollywood musical.
Yeah.
Like, a real Bollywood musical is freaking bad shit. And this is, like, trying to be it, but it's, like, it's Disney, so it's, like, kind of half-assing it.
Yeah.
It wants to be a Bollywood musical, but to me it just looks like High School Musical.
I don't believe we've been properly introduced. Jafar.
No, not really. I see what Jafar looks like. He's not you. Who are you, really? I'm Jafar's stunt double. Is that what you want to take care of? This movie goes so fast and feel like a slow doing fall.
It's so weird, right? It's like
We jumped ahead numerous scenes, and then all of a sudden I feel like we just stopped.
dragging. Yeah.
She's wearing the thing! She's wearing the thing!
Again, I'm just like, oh, we're in Disney World. That's like, meet Jasmine.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing. This guy can dance, dude. He's actually a really good dancer. So it's like, all of that, I'm like, yeah, I really like this guy too. It's just, do a few more takes on his lines.
Look, you can see Isengard. Oh, I I see. You think you can sing better than me now? Yes, you're right.
It actually cost you a wish.
You saved my life.
Wait, a wish? What the fuck? Oh shit, do you know how much Disney charges for those? It's worth more than those stupid lightsabers they sell at Galaxy's Edge.
For what? You are breaking my heart here, kid.
Yeah, that was really good. You are breaking my heart, kid. Get it? He had great performances elsewhere, and that was nothing. You know what? It's whenever he's that blue thing. Yeah.
I wish to be Sultan of Agrabah.
This Sultan will no longer be insulted. This Sultan is salty as fuck. Whenever there's a song, though, it seems to kind of turn back on again. This isn't nifty, but here's my issue. She's symbolically battling the soldiers. I'm like, imagine this song. She just fucking grabbed a sword and was fighting them and singing in slow-mo. How fucking cool would that be? That'd be amazing. That would be fucking particularly if she slits a few throats. Yeah. Six the tiger out of two. She goes all fucking Assassin's Creed. Why didn't they just fucking call this movie Jasmine and make it about her? Yeah, right? Yeah, they did fucking Maleficent and stuff. Yeah, why not, honestly?
Isn't speaking up against our enemy?
He used a genie to get in power. That's like winning by electoral college. No, you can't go out there. Your monkey will freeze before the first marker. I'll see you in hell.
Suffer. Like I have suffered.
But I didn't get a song about how I can't be seen or heard.
Suitable punishment would be to make you watch while I take what you...
I will
do as you wish.
So that your values quickly. What was that? 10 seconds. Ha! Honestly, in hindsight, the song's pretty pointless, isn't it? Well, in the movie, everything. He was the most powerful sorcerer, so I just imagined he just, had complete power. And this one, it's like, I will make you choose. Yeah, you're right. In the other one, it's like they can't move and everything. Here, it's like you have to actually choose me and everything. So you're right. It just makes her song even more pointless. It's kind of like a reverse shotgun wedding. Hey, later of the night. Hey! So, why don't you rub the lamp right now and simply not make him a powerful sorcerer? Okay, or not. No, here's the bet. Remember the giant snake? Yeah. Now it's a giant parrot. Because isn't that better? Are you fucking shitting me? This is the climax. Are you shitting me? All the cool visuals, the tower, the little toys that he turned him into. Fucking shit. A giant parrot. Yep. Wait, why not? What's even funnier? Honestly, the parrot could work if it was still Gilbert Gottfried. I'm gonna kill you real good.
Most powerful in the universe.
At last, I'm still pretty lame. You, get me a coffee. You want a job in this palace or not? Fucking liar. Save my life, so I'll give you a small bellboy job.
Last wish, let's get it.
Okay.
I wish for all Disney remakes to stop. No!
Away you of the future of Africa.
So please, marry a smart guy to run things. This is way more interesting than the Prince Ali's. Yeah, right? I was saying, why wasn't it like this? You know what kills me too? This is like a way better send-off than the movie deserves. Yeah, like I'm just like, man, I'm super psyched. Like, this must have been a great movie. It's almost like they're trying to trick us. No, see, it's not a great film. It's probably second best of these I've seen. Pete's Dragon's the best. Pete's Dragon's okay. I had to go through them. I say favorites, we're talking about Pete's Dragon is a movie I legitimately like. Now the others get like, yeah. Alright. And then this we're just like, yeah, this is something that happened, I guess. But it's still not good. No, it's not. It's clearly not good. It tries. And it's just sort of weird at the end, like the whole message about like, I want to be high. Spends the last 10 minutes of the movie literally just sitting there floating like a zombie. Could have just made a Bollywood musical. Like, you could have done that. I mean, that's what they're trying to make it look like. You could have gone all out at least. If Will Smith can't carry some of these notes, imagine if you had written a score for this and lyrics that were like rap based. That's what I said. Imagine a rap version. Fucking Hamilton. Yeah. If you rewrote this so it was Hamilton, different. It'd be the same idea, but different. It was really fast paced. You could have Will Smith doing his rap thing, and then you could have a bunch of dance numbers and stuff.
You
But,
can mix the cultures
but
and
no,
stuff into different
we
styles.
can't do that. It has to be the same songs
Yeah.
because nostalgia. C plus, B minus for me, somewhere in there.
I think it was
Third.
more because the comedy so wasn't hitting for me in many scenes. I remember the
No, it is
original
very,
being
it's
so
very
funny
boring.
and energized,
It's
and
very
there just
boring.
wasn't
But are
energy
you really
to a
gonna
lot of
say
it.
that Lion King, Beauty and the Beast,
No,
and Leprechaun
no,
are all
no.
better than this?
No. Lion King and Beauty and the Beast are by far the worst.
You like the way this is one of this?
Man, it was short.
Okay, that's fair.
It was short. You're right, Chad. We should get going. So, all right, that's been it. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Hope you've enjoyed that. I did this for a surprise for somebody who loves Disney Aladdin. Yeah. I'm just gonna end this